Next, we're going to work on the head. And for that, we are going to put away our 5mm hook. And we're going to get our 3.75mm hook out. And keep our stitch marker. Can put the green yarn away as well. I'm not going to use that anymore. And we are going to grab our brown yarn. I hope you're able to see it on the camera as I'm working it up. I had my brown yarn in my bag of fluff, and now I have little fluff fibers all over my yarn. Okay, so to start off our head, we're gonna do the magic ring. Oops. Chain one to secure it. And inside that magic ring, we are going to put 6 single crochets. You can really see that fluff. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's go ahead and grab your tail and close up that ring. In round 2, we are going to do 1 single crochet and then an increase. And we're going to do that 3 times, and that's going to bring us to 9. Fluff. So in the first single crochet from the first round, you do 1 single crochet. Go ahead and put your stitch marker in. In the next, we're going to do an increase. Okay, so we have 1 single crochet, an increase. That makes 1 set, 1 single crochet, and an increase. 1, 2, oopsie. And that makes our second set. 1 single crochet and an increase. Makes our third set of repeat. And go ahead and poke the back of it through so it's facing the right way. Okay, so that was round 2. Should have 9 single crochets. And then in rounds 3 and 4, we're just gonna crochet 9 single crochets around for 2 rows. So 1 single crochet in each stitch from the previous round, and I will meet you up at the end of round 4. just single crochet around for 2 rounds. Okay, so I just ended round 4 with 9 single crochets. You have this little nub looking thing. We are working from the tip of the snout up the head. So round 5, we're going to do 2 single crochets and then an increase. So 1, 2, and then increase. 1, 2, and then an increase. 1, 2, and then that last stitch is going to be an increase. And that's the end of round 5. Round 6 is going to be 3 single crochets and then an increase. So 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. This is really hard to see from in the camera because it's a dark color with a dark background. Give me just one moment and I'll be right back, and I'll have a lighter background. Okay, hopefully that's better. That seems a little better. I know, working with dark yarn on a camera just isn't the funnest. So let's see, we were doing 1, 2, 3, increase. So 3 and then an increase. So 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, and then the last stitch is going to be an increase. So then round 7 is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. At the end of round 6, which was 3 single crochets and an increase, the one that we just did, you should have ended with 15 single crochets around. Round 7, which is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase done 3 times. You're going to end with 18 single crochets around. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'll increase. And our last repeat, 1, 2, 3, my yarn split. So we're going to go ahead and do 3 again because my yarn split. 4, and then an increase in the last stitch from the round. And as you see, it's getting whiter. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to round 8, and then we're in round 8 we're gonna do 5 single crochets and an increase. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase. So go ahead and do that 2 more times, and I will meet you back at the end of round 8 to move on to round 9. Okay, so we just finished up round 8. Now we're going to move on to round 9, which is 6 single crochets in the first 6 stitches, and then an increase. And we should be ending with 24 single crochets in that round. One. Don't forget to put your stitch marker back in, which I've done several times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to go ahead and increase in the next stitch. 1 and 2, and then 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then increase. And our last set of 6 single crochets, and then an increase. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then an increase. And now you can sort of see the shape of the head unfolding. There's her snout. Just gonna get kind of smushed up when we sew on the nose, so it might seem long right now, but it's gonna look shorter in the end. Trust the process. Trust the process. So that's it for our increasing rounds right now. So now we're going to do rounds 10 through 13 with just hold on, my son just came in. Omrigan, what do you need, bud?
Just seeing if you were finished. No? You started recording? Oh.
Okay, so we're going to do rounds 10 through 13 with all single crochets around. So 3 rounds. Sorry, 4 rounds. I can't math today apparently. 4 rounds of just single crochets. So go ahead and do rounds 10 through 13 with single crochets all the way around. And I will meet you back up at the end of round 13. You should have 24 single crochets at the end of each round. Okay, so I went ahead and I finished up rounds 10 through 13. And now your head should look like this so far. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add the eyes at this point while it is still open enough for us to get our fingers in there because it is kind of small. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go back into the very tip of the nose, and there you will see, I don't know how well you see it on the camera. Oh, my light's dying. Shoot. You'll see your beginning 6 single crochets into the magic ring, and we're just going to count up from to 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In between rows 9 and 10, so all these little holes right here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put our eyes. And I moved mine when I put the tablecloth on the table. Okay, so it doesn't really matter where you put it at since it is round. And now I just lost my place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Between rows 9 and 10, we're going to put one eye. And we're going to stick it through. And then about 4 stitches apart. And so we have 1 stitch, 2 stitch, 3 stitch, 4. And then the next one over. We're just going to see how we like it. Do we like it? I think I like it. So, once you finally found a placement that you like, you can go ahead and put the backs on to lock them into place. And now our deer has eyes. Our deer can see. Okay, so we left off on round 13. So in round 14, we're going to start decreasing. We're going to do 6 single crochets and then a decrease. And we're going to do that 3 times. So 1, put your stitch marker back, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to go ahead and do an invisible decrease, just like we did with the pickle. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then decrease. And one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we have 2 stitches left, so we're gonna decrease it. Oops. Okay, and then you should have 21 single crochets by the end of that round. In round 15, we're going to go ahead and do 5 single crochets and a decrease. And we're going to do that 3 times. Stitch marker back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, decrease. Oops. And then you're just going to repeat that all the way to the end. And by the end, you should have 18 single crochets for the end of round 15. So go ahead and finish up that repeat, and I will meet you back at the end of the round. Okay, so we just finished up round 15. So now we're going to move on to round 16, and we're going to do 4 single crochets and a decrease in that round. We should end the round with 15 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease, 1, 2, 3, 4, decrease. And that's the end of round 16. You should have ended with 15 single crochets. We're going to pull our loop out a little bit, and we're going to take the opportunity to go ahead and stuff our head. And we want to make sure that we get it down in the nose for when we sew on or embroider on her nose outline. feels pretty stuffed. Might be too much. Maybe not. Forgive me, it is freezing outside. I don't know about you guys and where you're from, but we have like an Arctic chill warning going on this week. So it's cold outside, which means I either crank the heater up as high as it goes, along with the electric bill, or I keep it how it has been all winter long. Well, maybe a couple of degrees higher. And wear a sweater. And be comfortable. Okay, so we have our stuffed deer head without ears. We'll be doing the ears next, I do believe. No, we'll be doing the neck. I think we might skip around. I might fix that in the pattern. And do the ears next. Actually, no. We'll keep it in the neck next because there's a reason I don't want to do the ears first. And you'll see that when we get to it. Okay, so now we only have 2 more rounds to go. So, round 17, we're going to go ahead and do 3 single crochets and then a decrease. We're almost done with our head. So, 1, 2, 3, and decrease. 1, 2, 3, and decrease. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease. And I will be right back. My husky is crying to be let out. Go figure, Arctic freeze warning, and the husky wants to go outside. So, I'll be right back, and we will continue on into our last round of the head, or round 18. Okay, so round 18 is where we're going to do 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So 1 stitch marker, 2, and then a decrease. 1, 2, and then a decrease. 1, 2, and then our last decrease. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and slip stitch to the first stitch, chain 1, cut a tail, pull that through, and now while we have that little hole, go ahead and if you feel like your head needs a little bit more stuffing, whose head couldn't use a little bit more stuffing, knowledge is power. We're given our dear knowledge. Wonder if I can get all that in there. Don't think so, but we're gonna stuff it. Yeah, no. Take all that away. Probably just get the rest of this in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our yarn needle, and we're going to, in the same way we sewed it shut for the pickle, we're going to do the same for the head. Front loop of the next stitch, go away from us, the next one towards us, next one away from us, towards. We're just going to go ahead and continue that all the way back to the beginning. My son is watching TV in my bedroom, which is the next room over from my workroom. So if you hear his loud TV, I do apologize. But that's life with kids. Go ahead and pull it to close it. And now we have a deer head. Just gonna do a knot, secure it. And then weave the tail through the head a few times. cut off the excess. Okay, so now we have a completed deer head. And while we're working on the head, might as well take our black yarn and I'd say maybe 13 inches, just over a little bit of a foot. Cut off some black yarn. And while we're working on the head here, we'll go ahead and embroider the nose. So, nose pointed up at us. Go ahead and push your thumb slightly into it so it's not pointed. And the first row of little holes that you can stick your needle in, we're going to go ahead. You're going to eyeball it. And I usually bring it down to just under the eye. And we're going to go through one side and out the other. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to lap it over. And we're going to bring it through that magic ring at the very beginning. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a little triangle. At the very tip of her nose. And then once we have the triangle, we're going to go ahead and fill it in. Don't pull too tight. Okay. So we have our triangle. We're going to go ahead and fill her in by working. You can either work from side to side, or you can do it working up and down. Either way works. Whoa! Sorry about that. Whoa! What is going on? Stay. No, Dara, I wasn't talking to you. Everything is falling over. Should I be worried? First my tripod. Then when I tell it to stay, my dog looks at me, and one of my dogs looks at me like I told him to stay, even though he is very well behaved, staying in the corner of my workroom, being a good boy. And then my crochet bag falls over. Almost done. This is probably the most daunting part of it. Okay, now we have a little nose. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and meet back over a hole we originally put the string through. There we go. We're going to go ahead and tie it. Cut the tails really short because they're going to be hiding in a nose. We're just going to go ahead and stick that booger back up there. And you can fiddle around the nose, but there is the nose for my deer head. Well, after 5 minutes of me standing outside with my husky and trying to get her to come back inside, and her ignoring me and running around in the forest, she is now howling to come inside. So give me a moment and I will be right back and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so we did the head placed the eyes, embroidered the nose onto her. Now we're going to work on her neck. Now, I messed around with how to do her neck for quite a while, because we're going to be attaching a neck from the pickle to the deer head. And this is the only way that I could come up with that actually makes it secure and long enough, because, well, deers have long, powerful necks. Not as long as a giraffe, but still pretty long. So what you're going to want to do is you want your eyes facing you, and without turning it too much to one side or the other, you want to flip it upside down. And from here, we're going to take our still 3.75 millimeter crochet hook, and towards, from about the snout back to the back of the head, that's where we're going to be working at. And we are going to work 10 single, and my yarn just escaped. That was great. We're going to work 10 single crochets the best we can into a circle. Go ahead and chain one to fasten it on there. Go back through the same stitches that you originally went through and put one single crochet. You're going to want your stitch marker. So that was one. Two. Three. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want it to be about as symmetrical as possible. So that's 3. Start working in the circle. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Now I'm going to start coming across. 9. 10. And that's what that's gonna look like. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it is gonna be balanced. And that is pretty much the way I found to give it the most support I can. So that's round 1 of the neck. Rounds 2 through 4, we're just gonna single crochet around. So 3 rounds of 10 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And it does it is a little bit tricky, but the more that you do it and the easier it gets. So go ahead and do the next 2 rounds of just single crochet on the neck, and I will meet you back at the end of round 4, and we will do the last round of the neck.